Aloha. Thank you so much for the honor of having me here. Graduates, you've made it. To the people in the upper part of the arena, to the parents, to the grandparents, to the aunties, uncles, professors, friends, everybody who made today happen, we understand your sacrifices, the money, the time, the stress. Today you share in the joy, the relief, the sense of accomplishment. And so mahalo to all of you. For the graduates, I've got some advice. First, I want you to know that you are among the luckiest people on the planet. By luck or good fortune or God's grace or whatever you choose to call it, we all live in a modern democratic nation. And that alone would be good enough to count our blessings. But we also live in the most prosperous, most free, most advanced country in the history of the world. And among the 50 states, we live in the very best one. Yeah. And that's not a rhetorical flourish, that's our reality, and it's worth appreciating. Hawaii is literally the happiest and healthiest among the 50 states. And so we are all very lucky. But luck didn't get you here today. It was work. It was commitment. It was collective effort. It was money, and it was time. I know personally, with my father as a professor here and my wife a proud graduate, that for many of us the road to graduation is long and difficult, and so you've done something enormously important. Graduating from the University of Hawaii is an accomplishment that puts you in the same category as many great leaders, from astronauts to governors to United States senators to playwrights and everybody in between. Congratulations. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the congratulatory stuff from me, because make no mistake about it, your real life starts now. Of course, everybody's path is different, but for a lot of you, the next couple of years are going to be critical. The choices that you make starting today are going to really start to matter. You will decide where to live, what to do for a living, who to spend time with, and these individual choices may feel casual, but they are consequential. So here's my advice. Be careful where you put your boxes. Let me explain. After college, I moved a lot, from apartment to apartment. And every time I moved into a new place, I would hurry to put my boxes down. They were heavy, so I put them wherever there was space and without much thought. And after nearly 10 years of this, I noticed something. Wherever I put something the day I moved in, it often stayed there for years. So what's the lesson here? This is a time of transition for you. Right now you are moving, maybe geographically, maybe professionally, maybe academically, maybe even emotionally. And what might feel like a casual decision could determine where you live, what you do, what kind of family you have, and not for a few months, but for years or decades. And it's heavy stuff. So when you move your boxes, just remember that some decisions that you might make casually will stick for a long time. This is a key difference between college and the real world. College will give you a second or third chance if you screw up. But life outside of the university is different. There are very few do-overs. Except for today. Today is one giant reset button. There are people in this arena, and we saw some of them standing up. There are people in this arena right now who were excellent students, and others who were mediocre students, and some were struggling students. And now that you're all here, I have a secret. None of that matters very much anymore. Those of you who did great, congratulations. Those of you who stumbled your way across the finish line, that's okay too. It's what happens next that matters the most. We all start here at commencement. I promise you, most people will not care if you were a great athlete or not, if you were popular or not, if you got A minuses or B minuses or C minuses. What really matters is not what you've done so far. It's what you do next. Your life commences today. So, what to do? Whenever I was in doubt, I listened to my father. And he always told me to live to purpose. Live to purpose. He was the chairman of the Department of Medicine at the University of Hawaii, and he passed away just over a year ago. And he told me from a young age, live to purpose. And here's the quote from the physician William Osler. The great and glorious masterpiece of man is to know how to live to purpose. All other things, to reign, to lay up treasure, to build, are at most but little appendices and props. Here's an excerpt about my dad from the New York Times. Nobody knows how many people read the December 1964 issue of the Journal Archives of Internal Medicine, but apparently only one, Dr. Irwin Schatz, was so appalled by one of its articles about a syphilis experiment using uneducated black men in Tuskegee, Alabama, that he wrote the study's author in protest. And he wrote, these researchers had deliberately withheld treatment for this group of poor, uneducated black sharecroppers in order to document what might eventually happen to them. I became incensed. How could physicians, who were trained first and foremost to do no harm, deliberately withhold curative treatment so they could understand the natural history of syphilis? In 1964, my dad was just 4 years out of medical school. He was working as a cardiologist at the Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit. No one ever responded to his letter written in 1965. But its discovery in 1972 helped to frame a national debate over patients' rights that generated new standards for research involving human subjects. My dad lived to his purpose, to improve the health of others, and his example lives on through me, my 3 brothers, his 9 grandchildren, my mother, and everyone he taught at the University of Hawaii. And so I offer Irv Schatz as an example of having a purpose that goes beyond one's immediate needs. He's a great example, but I understand this. The truth is, a lot of us are just trying to get through the week. We aren't trying to make history. We just want to find our own motivation, our own meaning, and our own version of success. Your purpose may be to help your family, or learn as much as you can, or travel as far as you can, or play great music, or be a nurse, or teach high school. Your purpose doesn't have to be fancy, or historic, or impressive to others. It just has to matter to you more than anything else in the world. That is the way you live to purpose. And so as you make these decisions, as you move these boxes, begin to zero in on your purpose. And don't worry if you're still figuring it out. We're all still figuring it out. But for me personally, it's always been about doing what I can to preserve Hawaii's environment. Which brings me to my last piece of advice. Change always starts with young people. Youth is not an obstacle to be overcome. It is an engine for change and for growth and for progress. It's no accident that much of the great music and art in human history, from Mozart to the Beatles, came from young talent. Inventiveness, innovation, and pure talent come early and are meant to be exercised and used. The great social movements in the United States, whether it was the end of the Vietnam War, or civil rights, or gay rights, or the Clean Air and Clean Water Acts, were fueled by young people being organized, being politically engaged, and demanding that those in power listen to their priorities. And so I'm not here to tell you what to care about. I'm here to remind you that history shows there's no change without young people being the tip of the spear. You are all the tip of the spear. Do not hold back. Do not wait your turn. We need you now. Today, we celebrate the end of your undergraduate journey, the commencement of your adult lives, and the beginning of the next generation of Hawaii leadership. Congratulations to the parents, faculty, and graduates of the 2016 class of the University of Hawaii at Manoa.